What is going on, YouTube and Weight Loss Warriors? It's your boy C-Dub, and I'm back with another video. And today I want to talk about whether or not intermittent fasting can turn off your hunger signals. And we're going to talk about it right after this. What is going on? If you're new to this channel, my name is C-Dub, and I lost 125 pounds eating just one meal a day, or OMAD. I'd like to welcome you to this channel. I started this channel to hook you up with tips, tricks, knowledge, and ideas that I've learned along the way in my journey to help you out on yours. And I'd like to welcome you. And I hope you consider subscribing. To all of my weight loss warriors, my subscribers, my people that click on my videos day in and day out and help me grow this community, I want to thank you. I appreciate your support. Thank you so much, and I hope everybody turns on the ring bell. Now that that's all out of the way, I got an interesting topic today, because we hear all the time that intermittent fasting is very difficult because of hunger, and because you're struggling with hunger and you're struggling with food addictions, and there's all of these things that we hear about all the time in the beginning stages of intermittent fasting. But sometimes we kind of neglect something that does happen, I believe, along the way in intermittent fasting. You go from being extremely hungry to not hungry. And I think it's something that can happen. So it's something that I felt like we should address. And what exactly do I mean? Well, we can use my journey for an example. I started out on a simple 16 and 8 protocol. And after a few weeks of going in 16 and 8, the hunger went away, and I stopped getting hungry when it was time for my first meal to start at 10 o'clock in the morning. And so then, after a little bit of forcing myself to eat something at 10 o'clock in the morning, I pushed it to noon, and I would get hungry again. And then noon came around, and all of a sudden it wasn't that big a deal. And so I was pushing it to after school, after my teaching day was over with, and that would leave me about 3 o'clock. And then I started saying, why am I eating at 3 and then again at 5 or 6? This isn't making sense. And I went to OMAD, and that's kind of the area I live in now. But I'm telling you, there are times doing my OMAD that I don't even feel hungry. And there are times that as OMAD begins to approach, I'm definitely starving. But if I'm busy and I'm moving and I have things going on and dinner time is approaching, it is the last thing on my mind. And I can go right past dinner without even worrying about it, and into a whole 48-hour fast without even meaning to do so. And I don't think that this is uncommon once you're an intermittent fasting veteran. I feel like your hunger can go away. Now, with that said, the question isn't whether or not I don't think can it go away, but what should we be aware of? Is this a good thing or is this a bad thing? On the surface, hey, listen, I'm overweight, I'm trying to lose weight, and I'm not getting hungry. That is an amazing thing. It's not a bad thing. It's the ultimate thing. It's the thing that we all hope and dream for our whole lives as overweight individuals, right? Is I just wish I wasn't hungry. I just wish I didn't want that food. And then when we get to that point, it becomes a no-brainer. We just go through our life, and it's just an amazing feeling. But when we're looking at the long-term picture here, and we're looking at things past, let's say 6 months or 8 months or even a year, and we're looking at the next, several years of our lives, it begins to start to ask a couple of other questions like, are we going to lose hair because of this? Is this going to be something that we're underweight and we're struggling to maintain, and we can't keep a good, solid, healthy weight? Are we stopping ourselves from building muscle? These questions start to get asked, and they're very valid and interesting questions. And so what I want to encourage everybody to do is, number one, don't panic and don't get ahead of yourself in your journey. I think that's something that we all tend to do. We start to think, well, you're still got 50 pounds to lose, and you're like, well, if I don't get hungry, I may not get the nutrition. When your body has plenty of nutrition on it, the body fat that you've stored is plenty enough to carry you through the next period of time in your life. So I don't think that it's a concern for you as much as it is somebody that may be in maintenance, or just under, been in maintenance for a while and starts to push that, out of the normal range and into the underweight range. But ultimately, it is a concern. I'm going to tell each and every one of you now that as you start to move forward in the journey and that hunger does begin to switch, you can be faced with some of these problems. What do we have to do to make sure we don't put ourselves in a nutrition deficit? And I think that that is the major question here. A lot of people will live in maintenance in a 16 and 8, and they have a lot more wiggle room than somebody that lives in an OMAD like me. So if your ultimate end game is a 16 and 8, I don't think there's much of an adjustment you need to make. I think having 2 big meals spread out throughout the day with a good 16 hours of fasting is really going to be difficult for you to put yourself in a situation where you're going to end up losing hair, or you're going to end up feeling drained, or not having the energy or the ability to build muscle and all of those different things. And if you are coming across that, you can add a small snack in the middle of it, or increase either one of your meals to put yourself in a situation where you're there. You could always supplement with vitamins, but I think this comes a little bit more concrete with people that are doing something like OMAD, or maybe even alternate day combined with some type of intermittent fasting protocol. You're doing an alternate day warrior diet or alternate day OMAD. These are times in which we need to make sure we're really not getting ourselves in a nutrition deficit to where it starts to affect our sleep or hair or any of the other things I've mentioned previously. So I think that it's something that I may face in the near future. I may face, hey, listen, I'm not quite getting everything that I need. And right now, I've been blessed to make it through this journey without many hiccups or many problems, and I don't foresee it happening. But I'm going to tell you now that if I start feeling like, okay, my hair is not doing well, I don't have the energy I once did, and I start to see things shift the other direction, the very first thing that I'm going to do is make sure I'm supplementing with vitamins. And I think that that's the number one thing you should do if you're running into some of these hiccups. The second thing you could try to do is maybe move away from eating one meal every day or warrior diet every day, and have a couple of 16 and 8 days mixed in there to help you out on that nutrition. Remember that calories and weight gain and nutrition are not an everyday thing. It's more like a weekly thing. How much did you eat for the entire week? Remember, we had to go days and days and days back in the day without eating. And so our bodies are kind of used to that, and we've kind of evolved to be okay with that. So as long as your week is doing well, you're going to be okay. So if you may be able to add in, sort of like my dad did, where he's now eating OMAD 4 or 5 days a week, and 2 days a week he is off of OMAD. And that helps him keep a better balance, and it helps him keep his weight at a level that is in the normal range and not the underweight range. And the third thing I think you need to look out for is when you're eating, look at the actual macros and micros that you are eating and kind of how they fall into your life and where that goes. And so when we're talking about repairing your muscles and building muscle, we're talking about repairing hair cells, we're talking about repairing illness, and all of those things, most of them come from protein. So if you're not eating and ingesting enough of that protein, you're going to put yourself in a deficit of nutrition much quicker than any other of the micronutrients. But also very underestimated that natural fats also help. So if you increase your protein and your natural fats, you're going to get more, healthy, and you're going to feel better. You're going to lose less hair. You're going to be able to repair muscle, and you're going to be able to get yourself into the better sleep and rest and repair and all of the stuff we really want. So I think if you take those 3 tips into consideration, if you start losing your hunger, you're going to be okay. But the main thing to understand is that it is natural for us to not feel like we have to eat, and that we live in this weird, shifty world where we've been now put in a situation where we feel like food is everything, and every social event and around every corner there's food, and it's just the opportunity to eat at all times. But once we can take a step back from that and realize that that's not natural, that is the way we live today, but it is not the way that we've always lived. And so once you can kind of wrap your head around that element of this, I think it's much easier to take the fact that, okay, being not hungry is actually a good thing. And as long as I'm not having some of these side effects from being, under malnutrition, side effects, some of these bad things that we don't want, as long as I'm not falling into those categories, I'm okay. And I have some steps in front of me to help me if I am falling into that area. But to add more food more often isn't always the best answer. Just tweak a couple other things as you're doing, and I think you're going to be okay. I hope that this video was helpful, and I hope that if you're worried about, the fact that you're not feeling hungry anymore, this gives you a little bit of leeway to say, hey, listen, it's okay. You shouldn't feel hungry all the time, and your body doesn't always need food. So I know you guys see it right here. It's going to be my face. Click on it. It will help you subscribe to this channel. It is free. The information I'm giving you is 100% priceless. And right about here, there's going to be a video on the different intermittent fasting protocols and how I ranked them. I hope you enjoy it. I'll talk to you on the next one. Peace.